Before we even really get started, I want you to ask yourself a pretty serious question. What if the reason you're constantly exhausted, consistently overlooked, and let's be honest, perpetually disappointed by others isn't just a string of bad luck? What if it's actually a massive fundamental boundary issue? Well, today we're going to unpack exactly how that happens.
So really, why are you always exhausted? I mean, most of us have been deeply conditioned by society to believe that being endlessly nice is some kind of superpower, right? We treat it like it's our absolute greatest character strength. But we're going to challenge that idea today. Because constantly pouring from an empty cup, it isn't noble. It's completely draining. And it usually means you are letting people walk all over you.
And here is the real gut punch realization. It's because you are just too available. Psychology clearly shows us that when kindness has absolutely no boundaries, it actually stops being kindness altogether and morphs directly into self-neglect. You're basically abandoning yourself. And you know what the worst part about this is? The people who are taking advantage of you usually don't even realize they're doing it, simply because you've made it so incredibly easy for them. So today, we're breaking down the 7 signs that your kindness is costing you way more than you think.
Let's start with the internal signs of self-neglect, which are really the quiet red flags you ignore. Sign number 1. I want you to think back to a recent event. Have you ever agreed to do something? Maybe it was a massive favor for a coworker, or agreeing to go to an event you were absolutely dreading, and literally the exact second the word yes left your mouth, you instantly regretted it? You didn't say yes because you wanted to. You said yes because you just felt too guilty saying no.
See, there's a massive contrast here. On one side, you have approval-seeking behavior, where you feel immense guilt for saying no because you're prioritizing someone else's comfort over your own. On the other side, you have a healthy individual who can politely decline something without feeling like a bad person. If you're constantly operating out of guilt, people start expecting your yes as if it's an automatic right rather than a choice. Okay, moving on to sign number 2. For this one, I want you to just reflect on your daily conversations for a second. At work, at home, even at the grocery store. Think about one specific everyday word you might be drastically overusing without even realizing it. Yep, it's the word sorry. Do you catch yourself saying it dozens of times a day? Sorry for asking a perfectly normal question. Sorry for needing a little bit of help. Or just sorry for existing in a space. This excessive apologizing sends a very subtle but incredibly damaging message to everyone around you. It basically tells them, hey, my needs are less important than yours. Look, confident people absolutely take responsibility when it's necessary, but they flat out refuse to carry the responsibility for everything that goes wrong in the world.
Now let's look at how this plays out with external dynamics, specifically the one-sided relationship.
This brings us right to sign number 3. Think about your absolute closest relationships right now. Just honestly evaluate them for a second. Who usually initiates contact? Who checks in first to see how the other person is doing? Who is actually making the tangible effort to keep that connection alive?
If you are constantly giving attention, giving your time, and offering support, but you rarely ever receive that same energy back, you're stuck in an unbalanced dynamic. You're doing all the emotional heavy lifting. Healthy relationships require mutual investment. If you are perpetually giving without receiving, make no mistake, you are actively being taken advantage of.
Sign number 4 is incredibly insidious. It's the intense fear of creating tension and the dangerous habit of avoiding conflict at absolutely any cost. You stay quiet, you let things slide, and you paste a smile on your face and pretend you're okay when deep down, you're actually deeply upset. And there are very real, compounding consequences to that silence. First off, resentment grows. Avoiding small conflicts doesn't magically make them go away. It just creates much bigger problems later on. Second, your boundaries completely disappear into thin air. And third, people learn pretty quickly that they can cross your lines without any consequences whatsoever. By staying silent, you are quite literally teaching people that it's okay to mistreat you. Which leads us directly into sign number 5. Now, this is one of the most massive traps you can possibly fall into. It's the overwhelming need to constantly have people like you, where you tie your entire sense of self-worth directly to other people's approval. When your worth depends entirely on being accepted, the cost is huge. You start adopting a completely different personality for different people. You suddenly have totally different opinions depending on which group you happen to be standing with. And ultimately, you completely lose touch with who you really are. You change your behavior to fit everyone else's expectations so heavily that your own true identity just fades away. All right, sign number 6. Picture this scenario. Your phone suddenly lights up. But who is it? And why are they calling? For a lot of you watching this explainer, that phone only ever rings when someone needs a favor, maybe a small loan, or everyone's absolute favorite, help moving a couch on a Saturday morning.
But here's the truth. Real friends show up when you need something too. Think about it. When you reach out for help, is it just crickets? Total silence? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean these people are fundamentally evil villains out to get you, but it absolutely means the relationship is entirely based on their convenience. True friendship isn't a one-way street. It requires showing up in times of need for both sides, not just when they want something from you.
And that brings us to the exhaustion warning sign. Basically, the breaking point. Sign number 7. Listen, this isn't just a red flag. This is the biggest, brightest warning flare of them all. If you only take away one single thing from our time together today, let it be what we are about to discuss right now.
Emotional exhaustion. Notice I didn't say physical tiredness. You aren't just sleepy. This is a deep, draining, overwhelming soul fatigue. You're totally depleted. Yet you somehow keep finding ways to give more and more. Why? Because you've trained yourself to believe that your value exclusively comes from endless sacrifice. But listen to me carefully. Your value is never supposed to come from what you tirelessly do for others. It comes from who you simply are.
So how do we fix this?
Let's talk about reclaiming your self-respect and redefining kindness.
Real kindness is knowing exactly where kindness ends and self-respect begins. Let me be super clear about this. Being kind does not mean saying yes to everyone. It doesn't mean abandoning yourself, and it certainly doesn't mean allowing others to use you as a doormat. The strongest people aren't the ones who please everyone. They're the ones with solid boundaries. Because the moment you start valuing your own time, your own energy, and your own boundaries, the right people in your life will actually respect you more, not less.
I really want to leave you with a final thought to chew on. Will you keep abandoning yourself, or is it time to reclaim your self-respect? Look, if you recognized yourself in several of these signs today, don't be discouraged. Awareness is literally always the very first step toward making a change. Take a hard look at these 7 signs in your own life today, draw that line in the sand, and step back into your own power. You deserve it, for sure. Thanks so much for joining.